So I've been in the podcast and video game for a couple of years now in the golf space, but I have a good friend who's been in it for a little bit longer than that, more than 25 years, as a matter of fact. And we're going to hear her amazing story today on the Mod Golf YouTube channel. So today, my guest is joining us from Hawaii, Honolulu, and that is Danielle Tucker, who is the host, producer, and owner of the Golf Club radio show, which I've had the pleasure of being on a few years past. And Danielle and I had this amazing conversation on the Mod Golf podcast, I should say. But going to have her on here. We're going to ask some other questions, have a different conversation, and I got to start here by having her show up on screen here and join me. Danielle, good to see you again, and thank you for joining me on the Mod Golf YouTube channel.
That's my pleasure, Colin. Thank you for asking. That was really cool.
Absolutely. So, hey, we talked about how you ended up in Hawaii, which turns out, spoiler alert for viewers out here, was on a boat, not a plane. So go back and listen to that amazing story. From New York City via London and Panama Canal. Amazing story there. So go listen to that one. But we're going to talk about a few more things at the time that we have here. But to start off here again, for people that don't know about you and don't know about the Golf Club radio show, why don't you let our viewers know here what you do with the Golf Club radio show in Hawaii?
Well, every Saturday morning at 7 a.m., that's 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. in the UK, I host a golf radio show, which is also live streaming, which is why I gave you the times, as well as podcasts, so you can listen at your own leisure. And I have an eclectic group of people. Sometimes Michael Patrick Shields, hosting the Michigan's Big Show, he just came back from Cuba, right? And he's telling us about where he's stayed, what papers he needed to have to go in, all this stuff about what to do when you go to Cuba, and all the fact that it still looks like the 50s. You know, all the cars from the 50s are still running for some reason. It's amazing. So, but what does that have to do with golf? Not much, but he's a fun person. So I like to make my show about golf, about travel, about the beauty of the game, about the golf courses, the architecture. I love the art, the personalities, and a little something just thrown in to mix it up a little bit and have some fun, right? And there I go again, you know, fun to me is the game of golf. It's something you do when you're out and you're with friends and you're having something to drink and you gotta laugh, you know. I mean, work is work and it can be fun too, but there's you know, with my downtime, I want to have some camaraderie and all that stuff. Or, you know, you can go and play by yourself, and that can be just as rewarding, if not more so. You don't have to worry about people looking at you.
So you talked about this earlier on the podcast. You have this overarching theme in your life of having fun, as far as that fulfillment side of that, and the work that you do and the impact you have. So yeah, fun. You've been dropping the F-bomb a couple of times on the fun bomb here on us a few times, and I wholeheartedly embrace that also. So I'm going to ask some different questions, like I said, than I asked you a little bit earlier. Otherwise, why would viewers go back to be listeners? There'd be reason to be the same thing. So I want to ask you this question, which also, like you have in your program, doesn't necessarily have anything to do with golf. You've had a lot of interesting jobs, a lot of interesting opportunities in your life to get to where you are now. But I want to flip that script a little bit and ask you this one. What do you consider to be the worst job you've ever had in your life? Why? And what, out of that, looking back, what positive thing, what did you learn from that that you've now applied to how you live your life professionally and personally?
Wow. You know, worst job. It's really difficult to think of something that's the worst.
You've had so many? Is that what you're saying? You got a short list?
No, I'm just saying that each one was different in itself, but I'm going to go way back to when I was living in Switzerland, and there was a convent, and they hired me as a dishwasher. And their dishwasher wasn't something that you loaded and turned a switch. It was this conveyor belt, and you put the dishes in really fast, and this really, really hot water came down. I mean, it was steaming, right? And it was almost like dry by the time it got, that's how hot the water was. And taking those plates out and this and this and this and this. And they're, nuns aren't fun.
No, it's not in the job description, I don't think.
But I learned an awful lot about the rigors of running a business.
Right.
And a business that's not your traditional one, but it is, because everybody, no matter what, if you're working with a group of people and you're doing things for other people who come for a reason to get something from you, it's all somehow a business. And everything needs to be neat and tidy, and everything needs to be planned out and carefully executed to make sure everyone is happy. And that, in the nuns did the same thing, and especially if some important church figure is coming over. I'm
Right.
not Catholic, so I couldn't even tell you who would be important, but it was an interesting job.
So we can mention that with the conveyor belt. I'm gonna date both you and I here, but I immediately thought of the I Love Lucy episode when they're actually in the production line. I think they had candies or something. They started going faster and faster, and then she starts like shoving them in her mouth, and it's in her pockets and over her shoulder, and it's like. So that's what I thought of immediately. So anyone probably under the age of 35 here will not know what the heck we're talking about here, but that's what I related to with your worst job ever.
You look it up on YouTube. You'll find Lucille Ball, and she's really something to watch.
And that one still lands to this day. It's still hilarious. It's good stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so that was your worst job. So now I'm going to flip it around to two positive things. I want to hear about some stories, and I know you've had, gosh, if I do the math of what you do, not 52 weeks a week, you do at least 50 weeks a year. And so multiply that by 25. So I think that's, if my math, that's like 1,250 shows. So we do 1,200 and 1,300, and you have at least 4 guests on. So my head's exploding. That's like 5,000 to 6,000 guests. So I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Yes.
Can you tell me about let's do it this way, not the best or the worst or in between. What was the most unexpected guest that you had from when the conversation started to afterwards that either blew your mind or was like, what was that? Whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. Give us some examples, whether they're funny or just interesting, of guests that were unexpected from the outcome.
Wow. I'm going to go to the nicest person I've ever met in the game of golf. The most personable person I've ever met in the game of golf. He's not with us, and everybody, Arnold Palmer. Arnold Palmer is walking, he's on the course at Turtle Bay, his bride, because his first wife passed away and he remarried many years later. He had 2 cups of coffee in his hands, but he came and he approached and he stopped and he talked and he spoke. And when he talked with you, he made you feel like, and I know people have said this, the most important person in the room, the most important person in his life, that's how he just gave you this hug without even being close to you. And we're talking and I'm feeling like, gosh, I can't believe, I don't know what else, and he goes, my bride is waiting for her cup of coffee. I said, oh my goodness, Mr. Palmer, you should really thank you. And he walks to the guest cottages that surrounds the Turtle Bay Resort Hotel. And I had him on the show once. Okay.
Wow.
And I've listened to it, and I am so desperately frightened about making an ass of myself. Is that all right for me to say that?
100%.
That I sound like an absolute idiot.
You had imposter syndrome in a big way, did you?
It was the worst. I wish I could make that whole segment disappear from the library for the, it's like, God, who is that woman? And then he was so kind at the end, like I'd asked really impressive questions. No, he's that was the most. That's the one thing that stands out. I mean, I had a chance to talk to Arnold Palmer, and I blew it. I never got inside him, And yeah, another really, really great person. Of course, there are so many of them. I won't go deeper.
Well, give us one more. Why, go for
it. Jack Nicklaus.
We
were sitting at the Skins game at Ka'anapali, and this was the Skins game at Ka'anapali Resort. And he's sitting with, and I'm trying to remember if it was Tom Watson. I think it was. And, when you're walking behind Arnold Palmer, and they were at Hualalai, and watching the four of them, first of all, at Hualalai, rib each other. I mean, full on ribbing each other. And we're walking behind, like, should we be hearing this? Because obviously they've known each other for so many years. It's just priceless. So back to Ka'anapali. I'm in the media center. Michael Patrick Shields is sitting next to me, and we're just talking. And there's Arnold and there's Tom, and they're discussing their strategy for the Skins game tomorrow. And we're like, wow, they're just talking freely, and they're on mic, and they're just, all this stuff. And then Jack looks up and he goes, "Are you guys still here?" Like he didn't know, it's that kind of relaxed familiarity that the guys in this game, I'm sure they'll develop it. Max Homa, I think of, is one of those kinds of people, right? Very comfortable in their own skin, not at all taken by much of anything, have much more important things. Rory McIlroy, the way he handled that young boy who was living with a brain tumor, that, and the little boy just wanted a video chat, not even a chat, just a video of Rory. And Rory set it up so that the little boy would come to the course, and Rory took him in the golf cart. And that's the kind of thing these guys that, we think of as seniors, and some won't even play golf anymore because they're super seniors, or they're not with us. That's how they work, how they are, really dedicated to this game. And today we talk so much about the money, about the piff and the money and the live and the this and who's going to get what and how much guys are going to get. We used to talk 2 years ago about how much the charities were going to get from this tournament, and how much the charities were going to benefit from that tournament. So I think we kind of, I think we're pretty tired of all that stuff. I wish they'd settle it, but probably not until 2025. Bob Herrig was on the show, and he laid it out for us, and he's pretty much, I think he's got it down. But I'm probably going off on a tangent.
All your tangents are good. You have good quality tangents. Don't worry. If you went too far, I'd shut you down. It would happen. So on this note of people that have positively influenced your life, and I will say, maybe you won't call yourself this, but I really believe you are a trailblazer in golf media, and especially with not just for women, but in general, like overall, you've done a fantastic, impactful work, really as a side hustle off the side of your desk here. And it really is about the passion and the why of what I want to get into in a minute with that. But I want to ask you this, yourself as a woman in a sport in an industry where even today it's got better, but still vastly underrepresented. What women have you had on the show, or do you look at both inside golf and outside of golf that inspire you, that you look at as mentors or people that you've had on your show that put a smile on your face?
Mary B. Porter King, who is amazing. She started the Hawaii State Junior Golf Association, but that was after she had a lengthy career on the LPGA Tour. And she is a USGA rules official. I mean, she's got so much knowledge, and she has this terrific sense of humor. So she goes up against You talk about starting something in Hawaii where everybody had all their little cliques of junior golf programs. And she said, let's put this all together. Let's become, get the neighbor islands into Oahu and then send our kids as champions to the mainland, to, the continental US. That's
Yeah.
what we call the mainland.
Yes.
And just give them avenues, and she brought in Lynn Marriott and Pia Nilsson, and they've been on my show. And they're just so insightful, impactful. They're, and that's why I love doing my show, because all these people that I meet, when you're talking without the camouflage of our clothing, without the distractions of whatever, we're just chatting. You know that from your podcast.
Absolutely.
You really get into somebody and they're very comfortable because there's, they could be in their bathrobe and on a couch with a martini in one hand.
You know what? You should have given me some warning. We could have busted out the bathrobes and martinis. You just maybe that'll be on your show, even though we won't have any visuals. But we can. I'll wear my bathrobe when you're kind enough to invite me again back on your show.
You'll be on my show, Colin. We have too much fun together.
We do, and just the passion you have. It's one thing I've been exploring and hearing about for the last little while, and I didn't even know this concept, this Japanese concept of kind of holistic living and your purpose and your why and your passion, called your ikigai. And some friend introduced me to this and said, "What is your ikigai?" And I said, "My what is like, what is this?" So I got the book, and it's got to do with longevity, not only how long you live, but the quality of your life of that, and these things in your life. And part of this ikigai is you're combining your purpose and your profession, so what you're good at, what also you're able to make money at, and also kind of what your mission is and your values, and how that all intersects together to create what's called your ikigai. So I really see this with you as continuing on 25 plus years, and I don't think you're going to be slowing down anytime soon. So what do you consider your ikigai around golf and the show, and your purpose and your passion, and why you get out of bed and do the things that you do?
Because I meet people and I talk to them, and we get to talk about stuff that we don't even plan. That you're going to be on the show to talk about X, Y, and Z, or anything else you'd like. But in the conversations that ensue, something else will come up completely different, and we'll go down that little avenue for a few, like we've done, just a little ways, and then we'll get back to the main thrust of the show, back to what their passion is, what their purpose is, what their message is, whatever they wanted to talk about. Because really, that's what I am. I'm a facilitator. I'm helping people get their word out and hopefully inspire someone to get in touch with them, to read the book they wrote, or to check out the entertainment center that they've created, like you did, right? I mean, that was, to me, when I talk about fun and Top Golf, came around, but you were first, so that's really what it's all about. And I don't know if that's my ikigai. I'll have to read the book.
I'll include the link down below, but I'll also send you to that personally. Yeah, it's a great read. I think you'd enjoy that. So, well, you talk about inspiration is what being inspired by others is what inspires you. And I will say, as we finish up here, you have truly inspired me and giving me the courage to create a podcast where 6 years ago I saw no one was really talking about entrepreneurship and innovation in the golf industry. And I did a lot of research on it as far as podcasts, and there was no one having these conversations, but they were doing it in business and other professional areas and sectors. And I said, well, someone should do that. I thought, well, maybe I should. And if I didn't have the good fortune of being on your show a couple of years earlier and getting to know you, you were just one of those key ingredients that gave me the confidence and the inspiration to do what I do with the Mod Golf podcast. So I do humbly thank you for that, because I know I probably never said that to you before, because we don't talk that often. We're all so busy, but I do appreciate that, and all the good work that you've rubbed off or done has rubbed off on me, and hopefully that just propagates in other people watching, both young men and young women, that have the confidence to, whether it's in golf, in media, or whatever, to have the confidence to take that first step, ask questions, ask for some help, like you talked about on the podcast, as far as just ask sometimes. you don't ask, you're not going to get. You never know what you're going to get in return.
That's right.
Absolutely. So hey, why don't we leave it at that? I will leave down below in the comments for everyone here the connection to your show. But why don't you once again mention to all our viewers here where they can connect with you to listen into your show every Saturday?
Yeah, the show's name is The Golf Club, but I thought for internet, radiogolfclub.com somehow had a nice ring to it. That was 25 years ago, but we're sticking with it for now. So radiogolfclub.com/listen is where you'll find the listen link immediately, or you just go to radiogolfclub.com and you'll see the listen link top left side. You'll get the live stream link and you'll get to the podcast link. And it's also available wherever you're comfortable getting your podcasts.
Love it.
That's it.
For someone that's been doing this before podcasting was even a thing, you got a lot of reps in, and probably more reps in before podcasting was invented since podcasting became a thing. So yeah, you're one of the OGs, and I mean that in a sincere
Why, thank you.
way. It's like the work you're doing and the energy and the passion you have, it rubs off on me, and I can't wait to listen to your show this Saturday. So
Thank you.
Danielle Tucker, thank you again for joining me today on the Mod Golf YouTube channel.
Thank you, Colin Weston. Thank you for having me.